Hello, welcome back to another episode of Community HOPEcast, my favorite segment, Spill the Tea. My name is Tree. I'll be your host today, and in by two sides of me, I have.
My name is Coy. I am your activity coordinator for Hope Summer School.
And I am Jane. I work
Jane
here.
of all trades.
I work here.
Everything. Perfect. Awesome. Hey, thank you for joining me here in this segment. Not a new segment, but we are talking about a new topic that some of you out there, some of the listeners might or might not personally relate to, but you might know someone who went through this. And so it's good that you can tune in, listen, share if you have a chance and see if you can help a person go through what we're going to talk about today. We're actually going to talk about romantic relationship breakups. And I narrow it down just to romantic relationship because there's different kinds of breakups, right? Friendship, toxic friendship, employer-employee breakup. But here, just romantic relationship breakups. Why are you laughing, Jay?
No reason. I think that's just a very specific.
Yes, very
It's a very
specific.
specific relationship.
Exactly. Just so that we have something narrowed down to talk to, right? Because usually on these segments we can stray away from the topic. So let's narrow it down.
they're broad topics
Yeah.
for sure.
Yep. Well, let's go straight into it. Have you guys experienced any romantic relationship breakup?
Historically, yes.
Historically.
Yes, historically
Yeah.
as well.
Awesome. Okay. Were
Yeah.
they? Let's go.
Wait, to begin with, do you guys believe in breaks at all? Not a breakup, but breaks.
Like take a break and then go back to it.
Yeah.
I've never had a break myself in
On
my
principle,
past
though.
relationships, but in principle, anecdotally, any break I've seen has not recovered beyond that point. I think a break it might be an excuse to see other people.
Yeah, I agree with Coy on that. Well, like what kind of breaks? For example, let's say if they are going abroad, right? And that's a small break. You don't see each other physically.
No, you would transition to a long distance relationship.
Got it. So break would. Yeah, I just never understand the idea of a break. Just like Coy says, it's a excuse to go see other people, to explore, and then if the grass is greener and nicer, they'll just jump, right?
Granted, this is coming from the perspective of a dude,
Right.
of a guy. So I let's hear your perspective, Jane. We need to hear from both sides of the the spectrum. Let's go with that.
On principle, yeah, I don't believe in breaks either, and I don't think there's a particular gender perspective that I'm approaching it from at all. I just think that a breakup is a breakup. It's what you were saying, right? Getting at like the whole like, oh, I mean, you're probably doing a break just to, have a step back from your relationship, maybe, do something different in your life, maybe meet other people. So you might as well just call it a breakup,
Got it.
and
Right.
set that clearly. Yeah.
Do you think it depends on the? By the way, we're not saying not all breaks. Not all
Lead
breaks
to breakups.
leads to breakup, or not all breaks are not successfully lead back to a healthy relationship. But don't you think it depends on why you break up in the first place?
I think on average, most people don't have the communication, the foundation laid out to have a successful, quote unquote, break
Okay.
to come back and continue or something.
Right.
But I mean, whatever the terms and conditions of your relationship are, I guess.
I feel that a break is in essence like a culmination of just communication failures. I think you can't really work through a break. You can't really work through a problem by removing yourself from the issue from both parties. If it's an issue that you would think warrants a break, it'd probably be better off just you and the other party talking through it or
Yeah.
communicating through it or figuring out what you need to contribute more or what you need to contribute less in order to make that work out. That's my
Yeah.
take on it, honestly.
That's good. You both mentioned the word communication a lot.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that's, to me, as I learned after a few breakups, communication is the foundation
Yeah.
Right. Communication is a foundation, and after that is trust, respect. Depends on the person, but foundation has to be the communication
Yeah.
because if you don't communicate, like how did you know how the other person feel, and vice versa? How did the other person would know how you feel, right?
Right.
And that to me that can the unknown kind of contribute a lot to how the person interpret, right? For example, let's say, I know you guys answer text differently, but for me, I would answer text always with the term of endearment behind or before it, just so it doesn't sound like for example, my wife would text me, "Honey, did you eat yet?" No, that would be like, it depends on how she feels. That is he mad at me? Why is he so rude? Right? Like, no, honey, no, babe.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
I see
So-
myself
Sure.
doing that.
Yeah.
In my relationship.
Yeah. So to me, I learned that, right? That didn't come naturally in the other failed relationship. Let me ask you this though, like there are many different factors that contribute to a breakup. What would example? Give me one example of what could lead to a breakup.
So from my experience, and granted, the last person I dated was 8 years ago, 8 years ago. I think we fell apart because either she was growing beyond me.
Okay.
As in, like, she's in a different spot in life compared to where I am in high school, or she disliked my character at the time, and I'm a totally different person than how I was in high school.
Sure.
So I think one of the things that led to that breakup was just her realizing that I am incompatible
Yeah.
with this person.
Right.
And I totally agree with it. At the time I'm like, man, how could you? But now I look back, I'm like, yeah, you should like find someone better than who I was back then,
Yeah.
So that's one of the what was your question again?
Like that was a great example
Yeah.
of like you guys are at different. At one point, you guys were on the same path, or the same wavelength, right?
Right,
And then
yeah.
one could outgrow each other, right? And then you're no longer able to communicate, or not the same life goals,
Yeah.
not the same priority in life. So that leads to. So would you call that though, like a mutual or a civil breakup?
Depends on how you carried it out.
Right.
Because you could still
how
blow
you
up over
execute it,
that.
right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, I felt at the time it wasn't mutual.
Mm-hmm.
I felt that I really liked her,
Okay.
but she didn't feel the same way. So in essence, it wasn't mutual. Looking back at it now, like I'm happy where I am at now.
Yeah,
So
I mean, looking
a-
back, it's a perfectly valid reason.
Yeah, it was a
Right.
valid reason.
Yeah.
I can't argue like why you should stay with him, because like in that time frame I couldn't see it in myself that I wasn't that compatible with her. So I could try to argue that like, oh, but I can do this and this and that, but when you're at that age, life moves quickly, so you gotta like either find someone or move on from that, or change or move on. So looking back now, like I can say like surely like yeah, it wasn't mutual at the time, but I understand.
Got
Yeah.
it. Now, right now you.
Yeah,
understand.
now I
Okay.
understand. It took
Okay.
a lot of growing and reflection, and
Sure.
just like talking to other people to see where see the other party's point of view.
Sure. How long, if you don't mind if I ask, how long did it take you to realize that? Like how, from, the breakup time until the recovery time? Let's talk about recovery time.
So I feel, if I can remember correctly, the time between that breakup to when I committed myself again with another person was approximately like 7 months.
Okay.
6 to 7 months.
Okay.
Over a summer.
Got it.
Let's go with that. Over a summer.
Okay.
And again, this was because I was in high school. So, things move on pretty quickly. The brain is still maturing. I can suspect that at an older age to take a little longer, or even depending if you've been with that partner for a very long time. Like my current partner, with my girlfriend, I've been with her for 7 years. That's almost a quarter of my life currently.
Oh wow, yeah.
How you
Right.
guys? You guys do the math, okay?
Yeah, that's about a quarter of my life currently.
Okay.
So I've grown a lot
Right.
between that
Yeah.
time frame.
Right.
Now, God forbid, knock on wood, like I can't imagine what it would do to me if we were to separate.
Right.
right? It'd probably take me a very long time to just, bring myself back together based on the fact that I've grown so much with her. Now, what can I be without her?
Yeah.
And I'm sure it will come with time, but I don't think I'll ever be in that position.
Got it. That's good. Cool, man. Hold that thought. I'll ask Jane. Jane, give me an example of what would lead to a breakup.
I mean, thinking about it some more based off what you guys said too, and knowing the variety of experiences that we've had, don't mostly they come from some kind of incompatibility,
Okay.
right? Whether it be what we're talking about, like different life stages, or maybe as an adult, I think it becomes more relevant, like life goals and maybe core beliefs and attitudes as well. I mean, that's thinking a little bit more amicably and peaceful, right? I mean, I
Right.
guess I have heard about the threat of external forces.
Yeah.
So, I mean, coming from like Vietnamese families and stuff, perhaps your family is a bit of a threat to your relationship. And
Sure.
it's not just because of the two people involved.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
The pressure from family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Though, perhaps, though, that's also a fault of like the two people involved, because it's like, at the end of the day, you picked who.
you live with
Yeah.
the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully for the rest of your life.
Yeah. If they picked their family over their partner, I don't know. That might say something.
I think that says everything about that person.
Yeah.
How they would be willing to pretty much fall to, in essence, like the words of other people,
Yeah.
right? So if they're going to listen to their family members over
know,
your
and it's
beliefs,
like- I guess it's complicated because I know, family is very valuable and can't be very valuable. But I guess at what point in your life do you have to consider, like, your parents aren't going to be around forever. What, you're going to stay with your siblings if they're important to you forever? At some point you have to consider moving on and having your own family in
Yeah.
a sense,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think that's a great point, by the way, the family interjection with
Yeah.
the relationship. But
Yeah.
it also, for me, it depends on what age and what stage of life you're in, right? So if I'm 35 and my mom's like, don't marry that girl because she's not from a Catholic family, for
Yeah.
example, right? Then I'll be like, hey, mom, I've been through enough. We love
Yeah.
each other. We have the same goal. I respect you, but
Yeah.
I would probably have to disagree with you this time. But if that happened when I'm like 20, right? And for example, you fall in love with a girl who, let's say, have a kid,
Yeah.
have a kid at a
Right.
young age, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your mom should have the right to, because
Yeah.
right now it's just you just at that time you just love a person, right?
Yeah.
You think you love a person, and then your mom knows better. Like, hey,
Yeah. Outside opinions
yeah.
matter
Exactly.
to a certain point and under
Exactly.
certain conditions, but yeah.
Depends on how your mental
Yeah.
capacity at that time is.
I think the good rule of thumb is if not just your family has a certain opinion,
Okay,
then
yeah.
then you should really like
Exactly.
If your friends are
That's a good
doubling
point.
down,
Yeah,
like,
if you're-
we do not like this person.
if your family and your friends are doubling down,
Yeah.
then there's something you must consider. But if
Yeah.
it in my case, if it's just my family having an opposing opinion,
Mm-hmm.
noted, but I'm moving on.
So
Yeah.
both of you have almost like the same point, not compatible, and not be on the same path, right? No
Right.
longer on the same path. For me, I'll play the devil's advocate, right?
Okay.
I'll
Okay,
give something
sure.
different. Being a toxic relationship,
Right.
right? I think that's a pretty valid reason to call it quit, because, but sadly, not everyone in the relationship realizes it's a toxic relationship. So this is when you say friends and family comes in, right? If
Yeah.
friends and family
I
also
think
say,
we're thinking about more like maybe amicable or more objective reasons for breaking up.
Yeah.
But yes, if you go into the messier territory
Yeah.
or of toxic relationships, yeah, that's its own category.
yeah, I think that's it happens very frequently, and not everyone realize it or willing to admit that they are, right? So that's my example of what contributes to a breakup.
Yeah, and those can be hard, especially as someone from the outside looking in, because change is hard for people as well.
Yeah.
Some people like don't want to change even a bad situation that they're
Yep.
in,
Yep.
or they feel that leaving will make them even more vulnerable
Yeah.
than being in this toxic relationship that maybe has like a little bit of benefit
Yeah.
in
Right.
some way or form. Yeah, that's
It's
complicated.
such a nuanced topic.
Yep.
And I've been fortunate enough to not be in anything that I recognize as
Yeah.
toxic. So I feel that I have no warrant in this conversation, right?
Like
But
I think we've all witnessed them, but yeah, like we personally have no stake in those people's relationships, and I don't know to what extent you can offer like a helping hand. Yeah.
Here's another one that I see very common and less messy territory,
Sure.
right? Being too comfortable. Being
I
too
see,
comfortable. Yeah. Being too comfortable maybe leads to hey, we not one person might be more ambitious than the other, right?
Right.
So being too comfortable with, let's say, your physical self or with finances or instead of going out, I just want to chill at home. Things
So like
like that.
complacency to
Complacency.
each other,
Right.
or complacency to yourself, and then the other person is like growing to dislike that part of you.
I think both. I think both. Yeah. I
right.
think
So
both.
this is like post honeymoon phase in your relationship.
You call
When-
that.
Yep.
Yeah, when you just kind of like, I don't want to say let yourself go,
Uh-huh.
but your true identity
bit.
comes out a little bit, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to say. I mean, I still like I still keep up with things with my current relationship that allowed her to fall in love with me. But there are some traits that I do that she lets me hear it. Thankfully, that like, hey, you need to stop. That's annoying,
Yeah.
right? That complacency of just not again completing or doing what's being asked of you by your partner, that builds up, right? So a lot of breakups, from what I've heard and what from anecdotes, it's not potentially, but it's essentially a culmination of little things that get on the other party's nerves, right?
Yeah.
So for example, right, you live in a house, or an apartment, you two, right? You never take your shoes off when you're walking inside, right? You never change out of your work clothes when you like lay in the bed, or like you don't clean up after yourself when you're eating, right?
Yeah.
Those are little things that the other party's gonna realize. This person is not compatible with me. So either that person is going to say something about it,
Yeah.
or they're gonna not change and suffer.
Yeah.
From the perspective that complacency is partially about a person's true nature coming out, that might be a matter also of incompatibility, like incompatible lifestyle
Right. Incompatible.
and such.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think about, whether or not it can be just chalked up to complacency, or if, because for example, in my own relationship, right, we actively try to do things to make each other feel loved, or, to do things for each other, to support each other actively like that. And I wonder if it's something that you really have to go out of your way to do, or I don't know. At this point, like for me, it feels natural, right, to do things actively to avoid complacency.
Okay.
I'll give you my example. So with my partner, she loves to just go out, and in her way, it's her way of spending time with me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the past, I'd say like 3 years ago, I hated to go
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
I would justify it by saying like, "Oh, I'm broke.
Yeah.
I don't want to go out and spend money because at the end of the day, I pay the tab and everything, and
Yeah.
I was a homebody. I still am kind of a big homebody. Like if I'm comfortable, I just want to stay home. But I learned that to better our relationship, to make her feel more appreciated, to be more compatible. Sometimes I need to go out of my way to go with her to these places. Hey, Coy, let's go check out this one place. Even
Yeah.
deep down, if I would rather just stay home and lay in bed all day.
Yeah.
All right, let me go get my change. Let me change out my clothes and let's go out. Right. And I'll do my best to have as much fun as I can, make that moment meaningful. Those are the things that I find that, in a way, I'm forcing myself, or I'm making that change in myself to be more comfortable with going out, because this is what my partner wants to do.
Yep.
You know,
Does it feel more natural now?
It feels more natural now. Sometimes I want to stay home.
Yeah.
But I'm happy. I find that I feel happier when she's happy, when I'm there with her spending that time. And then whatever I want from her, or whatever I would like to do, I'd ask, and then hopefully she does the same.
Is there a compromise between the two of you? Like,
Yeah,
you
like
and your lady, and then
like these things, you need to strike a balance, right?
Right.
Between like your wants and needs and
Right.
the other person's.
Right.
Definitely at some point you have to strike a balance between.
right,
Yeah.
right, and definitely understand. Again, communication is key, right? I saw that. Yeah, your partner. If she didn't like something, she would voice her opinion and hopefully say it in a way that doesn't struck your ego, and make sure that, hey, I love you. I want to. I want us to have a long-term relationship. Here's the things that bothers me, right? Hopefully that's the way to communicate with you. So that's great. So again, it go back to communication. And I see the theme here, which is cool from all three of us: communication and compatibility. When you say it's so natural to both of you say it's so natural to spend time with each other, right?
Yeah.
That goes back to compatibility. Because
That
if
too.
you have to make an effort, like to go out, like
Yeah.
to suit, for me, my wife, we can just have to go out with the kids, and we can talk about anything, business, life, food, and I think that's a blessing, to be honest. Like
Yeah.
we can just talk about anything, right? It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be. It's effortless.
Yeah.
Right.
And honestly, Koi mentioned it too before on like a
Yeah.
previous podcast.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
he could just sit next to his partner and just watch paint dry, like that too.
Yeah, no, it's I think that's one of the good signs of a healthy relationship,
Right,
one that's
right,
not
right.
leading towards a breakup, when
Right.
you're able to just be in the same room as your partner and not despise it, and just
Yeah.
be able to have and talk about any topic.
Sure. Sure.
Yeah.
What would be a good recovery method after a breakup, in your opinion?
So this is right at the breakup, right?
Right after a breakup, yeah.
All right.
Recovery.
I mean, you want to go first, Jane?
I would say the thing that might be really hard is that this person has been always a part of your life, and now that you've taken them out of your life, like that absence, that sudden change can be distressing,
Okay.
So at least for me, because when I went through my last breakup, the thing that I had to do was, refocus on all the other things I have going on in my life.
Okay.
And that at the time was school, work, go back to spending time with, family, friends. There's still so much more left in your life without that person, hopefully. Hopefully.
Hopefully.
In my case, I was 16 and we'd only been together for about 8 months, but it impacted me so much. And this is the same story, different person.
Yeah.
I joined the Marine Corps after she broke up with me, excuse me. And I thought that was, in a way, what I need to just get out of that environment. To
Yeah.
me, 16-year-old me thought my way towards recovery is to remove myself from that environment. Anything that reminded me of the time I spent with her, I should leave that environment to just recover
also
on my
valid,
own. And then I met my current girlfriend right before I left for boot camp. So I ended up still going through with the training and everything. But to me, it felt that what I needed in life was a new environment to be in, a new environment to be in, a new path, kind of like to find my purpose again. Because in the past, my purpose was, okay, what can I do to make her happy, to let her be with me? Because, I know I have some flaws, but then I just wasn't able to make myself compatible enough with her, or whatever the reason was. So I felt that, okay, maybe there's something wrong with me inside. So I need to take on this journey
Yeah.
to see the change in myself and see what I can learn from this and then improve myself.
Yeah.
A lot of it at the time was, okay, how can I improve myself now?
Yeah.
That
Okay.
I started feeling that sense, like, how can I get better than I was yesterday after that breakup. So I felt that in essence, I'm a better person than I am now after that breakup, because I realized these are all the flaws that I had that caused that relationship to fall apart. So now I've targeted those and I worked on it. You know, so a lot of things that helped me distract myself or improved myself were just working out, just doing some sort of activity that will get your mind off of that, or just putting yourself in a new environment, whether that's like a new park you've never been to, or just learning about something else.
Yeah. I think that's great. I think if you can take something like a breakup and take it as a learning opportunity, that's wonderful.
That's great. And thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
Improving yourself is definitely something that I wrote down as well. Like getting better shape. Hopefully, I got a better job.
Yeah.
Got a new car. You know. But then, let me ask you this though: as men, right?
Yeah.
Did the ego come into play? Like, no, it's not my fault. It's her fault. It's her loss. Did the ego come into play?
No. I think I had enough self-awareness to know that I wasn't as good as I should have been to her. And it wasn't anything that I did. Like, I wasn't necessarily like mean or berating to her. Not that I remember. She might think of it differently.
Right.
But then again, I was 15 at the time. So, you know, everything at that time was just up in the air. But what I did recognize was that, you know, there are just flaws in me that I had to improve on. Right. I think one flaw that I had back then was just that I'm still battling with this, but I'm a chronic liar, and I just got that from having to lie all the time with my parents, right?
Little white lies.
A little white lies,
Okay.
or like one little lie that hid a bigger thing, you know. And at the time, I guess I was a little like cocky, you know, just you know, when you're
16, dude.
You're 16,
Yeah.
you know, you think, you know, I was all bark, zero bite kind of
Yeah.
thing. Did it impact my ego? I did cry a lot afterwards, but then
Nice.
the tears just eventually run out and you just continue on with life.
Yeah.
Right? You realize like, oh, you know, that was a little bump in the road, but you know, I'll find my person one day.
No.
You know,
Very good. Yeah. What about you?
did it impact your ego, Jane?
Well, when I say my last breakup, it was definitely a choice between a break or a breakup, and I made the conscious decision
Okay.
to label it as a breakup and outline the rules as such that like this could be like the point of like no return. So when it comes to was it ego, I also felt like I had enough self-awareness that like I wasn't going to pretend that there was any, you know, safety net or anything,
Right.
or that I was without fault in the whole issue. And a lot of it for me, I took it as a way to kind of like refocus on what I wanted in my life again,
Okay.
and try to also evaluate like what else can I do to like prevent this from happening in the future.
Okay.
So yeah, because I do know a lot of the issues that come from the relationship was also me being in my head. So
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
you suggested the break/breakup.
yeah,
Okay.
breakup. Yeah.
Breakup. Okay. But that person wanted just a break.
That was on a negotiating table. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't even have to negotiate. She was like, I don't really like you no more. I'm
I
leaving.
think it was a very unique situation. I actually brought it up, and then they bartered for like 7 days to break up, and I was like,
bartered.
okay, yeah, we can spend 7 days like processing and figuring it out, and then like leave.
How does that work?
Yeah,
Oh, 7 days
how
up.
does that work?
All right, guys, make decision right now.
No, I think it was definitely a more unique situation, that 7-day breakup, but it was cathartic in a way. But yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah.
What moment during the lead up to that break did you realize, oh, it's happening? Like, it's going to happen soon. Like, for instance, for me, I called it the day before, and I was talking to a friend. Like
the moment to call, like, we're gonna break up, or the moment it's like it's sinking in that we're leaving.
Yeah, it's sinking in that we're leaving. So like for my instance, my neighbor was my friend for a little bit, then he had to move like down a couple streets.
Yeah.
And he was asking me, "Hey, what's up? What's going on?" I'm like, "Why you look a little sad?" And I'm like, "Dude, I think my girlfriend's gonna break up with me, dude. Like I'm calling it. She's not responding to me right now. And like she's kind of dry and she's
Cold
not,
shoulder.
Yeah, she's like I just feel it. I think she's going to break up with me, right?" And then he's like, "Oh, well, good luck with that, dude." And I called it the day after.
Yeah.
She broke up with me.
Well, I was the one who called
Jinx.
it.
Right.
So for me, I guess 2 moments was like, I ended up deciding to break up,
Yeah.
and it was like, I guess I had one foot out the door. The moment was like, because all of our problems accumulated, and I asked one question. I was like, "Hey, what do you think is like the goal? Like, where do you see us? What are the steps we're going to take for us in the next, like, for example, 1 year?" And they said, "I don't know." And I was like, "Okay, that's it. Like, I'm tired of this.
Yeah.
That's the last straw."
Yeah, you've
and
got
then
places to be.
Yeah, and then the week leading up to like the final goodbye, it's like the moment, the last time like we spent time with each other. Yeah, we did like cry, and then we're like, "Okay, bye."
Wow.
No, it was a good crying session though.
That was good. That was good.
You cried to
Yes.
you cried to get all right.
Yes, there was a loss.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you
She didn't cry in mine. I'll tell
friend
you that.
afterward?
No, we got back together.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about you? Are you
That's why I
friends?
said it was unique. It's a unique situation. It's a
Yeah.
very unique situation.
Oh, okay.
But
So,
I did label it as a breakup. Like, there was
Okay.
a chance that we were not going to get back together. And just,
Right.
yeah.
I see.
Okay.
So for me, again, this is 16. Like
Yeah,
when
yeah.
you're 16 in high school, things are weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? You're not as cool as you think you were in high school, right? So, but me processing that breakup, I do recall her wanting to continue like on a platonic friendship level with me. I remember during that period where you kind of pass to go to your next class, I would pass by her because she would go from one class to the next, one building to the next, and I had to go from the current building to her building. And she would text me, like, I'd say a couple days after we broke up, was like, "So I guess we're not friends anymore? Like, why aren't you like saying hi to me? Why aren't you acknowledging me? Like, when we're passing?" I'm like, "Dude, you broke my heart. I don't want anything to do with you." Like, for me, if I had to go through another breakup, I'm going to remove any connection that I have with that person, right?
Yeah.
And to me, it felt like she didn't understand why I was just trying to separate myself with her, but I just connect her presence with pain, with hurt, right? So I don't want to talk to her. I don't want to even look at her. I don't even want to be in the same area as her, right? But I remember for her being such an issue, right? We were in the same sports team together, right? So I did have to like interact with her every now and then, but it was just very quick, you know. I guess the ego thing came in because I was hurt. Like, how could you hurt me?
Right.
You know?
Right.
So I didn't want anything to do with you.
Yeah.
Right. Because you reminded me of when I was at my lowest.
Yeah.
Right. So any interaction I had with her post was pretty quick. Right. And this is an exclusive story. I remember when I came home from boot camp. Right. And I was already about 8 months in with my current relationship. Right. And she texted me back. On Facebook Messenger, right? And I don't exactly remember what I talked to her about or what she talked to me about. It did come to a phone call, and I guess it was her way of getting closure on me. Or my way of getting closure, vice versa, whatever.
Okay.
Right? It was very, very, very strange time when I was 18, you know? Like, I mean, the only person that has the answer to that is her. And honestly, I'm okay with it being up in the air. I'm whatever's about it now.
Yeah.
That was, a long time ago. Funny stuff, dude. You kind of laugh about it now. You know, those like young relationships and those breakups. You just kind of like, oh, how stupid I was.
Yeah. So let's recap. What will be one word, Jane, that you learn from let's say the previous relationship that you can carry on for a better future relationship?
Cannot be described in one word, that's for sure. Something I learned. That's more broad that would inform like a future relationship.
Yep.
I think one of the most important ones is understanding what you yourself want
Yes.
out of a relationship. You know, I think it is especially hard these days. You know, being in our 20s now, being young adults, at least for us, that can be kind of hard to achieve too, because so many other aspects of our life are kind of hanging in limbo, you know, like things like our job security, you know, our housing situation, everything. So it can be kind of hard to also figure out what you want out of a relationship, because so many of those aspects tie in together. But at least having short-term goals within like the next year or two
Sure.
with your partner to know what it is that you're trying to achieve and striving to achieve it.
Awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
You, Koi?
Again, it can't be described in one word.
Sure.
Yeah.
But if I had to,
Yeah.
it'd be compatibility, collaboration, and communication. Anything that you do together, anything that you do, in a way, should be done together, right? Like how my partner and how my girlfriend and I go about things, it's together, right? She has an issue, it's we have an issue. Is there something wrong with me? We have something wrong with me, you know? Like when I had
Something wrong with us.
yeah, when I like, for instance, I had 3 surgeries on my right wrist, right? Even though I was the one that was directly affected by this injury, I could see how it affected my girlfriend, because she was there with me through each checkup, through two out of the 3 surgeries, or actually all 3 of those surgeries, and I could see her really feel for me, you know.
Yeah.
And then anything that my girlfriend goes through, like most recently her student teaching, you know, I felt very guilty that I wasn't suffering as much as she was, you know. And I wanted, if she suffers, then I should suffer. So I'm going to make sure things are a little easier for her, you know. So I made sure that, like, you know, her laundry was all set and done. I made sure that her house was all cleaned up and stuff. Because, you know, student teaching, for anyone trying to be a teacher, that stuff's rough.
Yeah.
6 months of unpaid work,
Yep.
right? I don't even want to work unpaid for a day,
Yeah.
right? And she had to deal with that for 6 months.
Yeah.
That's rough on someone, right? And can you imagine? I can't even imagine like how those months would have gone for her if I wasn't collaborating with her. If I wasn't working along with her,
Yeah.
right? If I had been complacent and just been the way I was before,
Yeah.
and not help her out anyways, we probably wouldn't be together now, right? So I made sure to put in the effort to make sure that she's okay when she gets home. She might be crying because that day was tough, but as long as she has what she needs at that moment, it's all good in the end,
That's
right?
very good. That's great. Yeah. So some takeaway that I've listened to both of you, and I have the same. Some of the few things that I took away from this conversation is the foundation of a good relationship is communication, right? Compatibility, and then there goes respect, trust,
Yeah.
and things of that sort. And I also see that you mentioned empathy too, right? Having the empathy for your significant other kind of helps in the relationship too, and that's something new that I need to learn.
You
right?
and I both implied it, with you implying it in how you write your text. Yeah, because
Yeah.
tone is everything in
Right,
text, right?
right.
I don't think a lot of people realize that.
Yeah.
As a simple no can come off in so many ways,
Right,
right?
right.
And then with empathy, I struggle with empathy. I'm gonna admit, I have issues with being empathetic, right? And I'm still working on that. But when and this is where the communication came in, she told me straight up, I was like, dude, why are you so mean? Like, why are you being so like rude sometimes? And then I realized, I don't think I would like, if I was someone else, I don't think I would like this person. Why is he just so rude for no reason?
Right.
So then I took a step back and I realized, you know what? I need to be able to put myself in their shoes, you know, and see how I would feel at that time, right? Like, I'm sure I wouldn't appreciate it if I had those 3 surgeries and she wasn't there for me, or she was
Yeah.
telling me, "Oh, you still got your 2 arms, right? Yeah, the one hand is messed up, but the other one's fine. Why aren't you doing anything? You know?"
Yeah.
And I'm sure she wouldn't appreciate it if I was like, "Dude, you're just you're just volunteering, literally. You just get up. It ain't that hard, you know?" Like, empathy is that. I know we're running out of time, but that last part of having empathy for your partner,
Yep.
whatever
Yeah.
they're going through, whether it's just struggle, success, or whatever, just be there for them and ensure that whatever they are going through, they're not alone. Right?
Awesome.
Oh.
Well, I hope all of you listening in the podcast and at home can share in the comment too of what you think are from your experience, first of all, and what else you want to add on to our conversation. We'd love to know, right? Our Instagram handle is Give Us Hope.
Oh, socials? Yeah, Instagram,
Yeah.
Facebook, TikTok, Give Us Hope OC. So you can follow Hope Community Services.
Yep.
And we also post our podcast on those social platforms and on YouTube and Spotify.
Awesome. Any last minute remarks before we say goodbye to our listeners?
No.
Awesome.
Just be a good person.
Well, be a better human. Thank you, everyone.
All right.
Hope to see you next time.
Take care.